Okay, let's do this. Wait a second. Wait, that's the... Grungtep Mahanakon Amon. Hold on a second. Grungtep Panamanaka. Okay. Breathe in. Breathe out. Grungtep Mahanakon Bawan Arat. That's not it again. Oh, just roll the intro. In the last video, we looked at this place called Ayutthaya, this kingdom that historically existed in the place that's today Thailand from roughly the 14th to 18th centuries. In that video, we also met Lasercat. So there was a lot of cool stuff going on in that video. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. In this video, what I want to do is to follow up on what happened after the Ayutthayan period. So in 1767, the capital of Ayutthaya was destroyed by a Burmese army. And in the aftermath of that destruction, there were people who made the effort to reconstitute the kingdom and to, bring stability to the area. That's what we're going to look at next. So let's roll. Let's roll. Who says that? Does anyone say that? So Ayutthaya flourished for a few centuries, but then in 1767, it was attacked by this new dynasty in Burma, the Konbaung dynasty, and they trashed the place. They, surrounded Ayutthaya, they attacked it, they hauled off thousands of people back to their own capital. They supposedly stripped the temples of gold, they burned things down, they trashed the place. And so after that massive attack in 1767, there was really no going back for Ayutthaya. It was pretty much over. However, it didn't take long before other polities emerged. And in particular, there was one guy by the name of Taksin, who some people think was maybe half Chinese, half Thai, who escaped from, or who left or escaped or somehow slipped away from Ayutthaya when it was being attacked. So he survived that, and then he started to congregate people together to reconstitute a kingdom in the Thai world. He found members of the Ayutthayan royal family who were still alive. He found, powerful generals and military people. And first, he kind of established a base over near the coast. But then he moved to an area called Thonburi, which is on this river, the Chao Phraya River, close to where it flows into the sea. And from that base, he supposedly used his connections with Chinese traders to get supplies, but also started to then rebuild the empire. How did you do that? Like I said, controlling people was one of the ways. You needed people to do that. And so Taksin went out and attacked places, got people, but also basically flexed his muscles to show that he was the man and he was in power. So in the north, I think he went up to places like Phitsanulok, Chiang Mai, Phang. To the northeast, you got Pi Mai and Vientiane. He even went over and beat up on Cambodia and a place called Ha Tien, which is now on the Vietnamese-Cambodian border. And he went down south and beat up on Nakhon Si Thammarat. So this was a way to kind of flex your muscles, but also to capture people, to bring back, to help build the capital and to help fight, because there was still a lot of fighting going on with the Burmese. They kept attacking, and Taksin had to fight them as well. So really kind of wild time, it was a dangerous time, but gradually Taksin was able to bring people together and start rebuilding a kingdom. And this is something I think we can see in this clip here of some of Taksin's followers protecting a princess from Ayutthaya and fighting off the Burmese at the same time.
哎呦呀，大记住，你不可能的，咱这就得听呀。
Để ta tôi tại gia đó.ตีฝ่ามันออกไป
So Taksin did a lot of stuff that, he could be proud of. And apparently the guy did get pretty proud of himself. A little bit too much for some of the other powerful people. There's a lot of different stories about what happened. One of the accounts says that Taksin began to think that he was like imbued with spiritual power and that he was going to be reborn as a Buddha someday. And this apparently led him to demand that monks prostrate before him. As we've seen, there's different ways of prostrating to people, but monks weren't supposed to prostrate to a king like that. Instead, it's only the Buddha that was the one that they were serving. And so when Taksin started doing this stuff, they're going like, dude, this is not cool. That's one story. There's other stories that are more just kind of power-based with his rivals. But at the end of the day, what did happen is that Taksin was eliminated. He was executed. How did that happen? Again, there's many stories. Some say that he was beheaded. Then there's also a kind of a cultural story, or one that fits with traditional Siamese and Burmese culture, which was that Taksin was killed in a very unique way. And this is how that unique way went down a bit earlier during the Ayutthayan period.
Thảก่อนขุนดาบปล่อยให้ท้าวรจันทร์เข้าเฝ้าพ่ออยู่หัวบัดเดียวนี้
องค์ชายกลัวไม่ต้องกลัวเพคะนุ่มจะอยู่เคียงข้างพระองค์ตรงนี้แหละเพคะ
That's right. In Siamese and Burmese traditional culture, there was this way of eliminating important people. You put them inside a red velvet sack and then whomp them on the head with I think it's a sandalwood club. As you can see from that clip, it's very ritualized, it's very sacred, and no one, I think, is really exactly sure why exactly it was done that way, although people have different theories. However, there's also a theory that this is how Taksin's life ended. I think he died in like 1788? Crap, I really should check these details before I go and record stuff. Let's figure out, because there's a new dynasty that starts right after this, the Chakri dynasty, and they are 1782. I was nowhere close. Oh, damn. 1788. What happened in 1788? Daesun Rebellion. There's something there. Okay, so in any case, in 1782, there's a new dynasty that was established, the Chakri dynasty, and that royal family is still around today. They're still the royal family today. Previously, before 1932, they were an absolute monarchy. Now it's a constitutional monarchy. But the royal family in Thailand today is descended from this royal family that came to power in 1782. It is the same royal family. So the Chakri came to power in 1782, and yeah, on the one hand, Taksin had already stabilized things quite a bit, but there was still a lot of work to do. You know, the founders of the Chakri dynasty decided to establish a new capital, and so they moved across the Chao Phraya River from Thonburi over to the other side of the river, and they even sent people up to Ayutthaya to get stones and bring those down to start building this new capital. And they thought, you know what, we got to come up with a new name, a new vibe, something catchy, something that people will be able to remember. And so they decided to name their new capital this. Grungthep Mahanakon Amon Ratanagosin Mahintara Ayutthaya Mahadilok Pop Noparat Rachatani Burirom Udom Rachani Wed Mahasathan Amon Piman Awatan Satit Sakatiya Witsanugam Brasit. Oh yeah, ooh, damn, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. Not perfect, but that was okay. Yes, so they established a new capital with a new name. I think it's supposed to be officially the longest place name on the planet. It has that long name, but it's known more colloquially by the first couple words, Grungthep Mahanakon, the great city of angels, but then it's also known as Bangkok. Appropriately, as I just said the word Bangkok, someone drove by on the street with a car that was making a lot of noise. Today, like its American counterpart, the City of Angels, Los Angeles, Bangkok is a very bustling, busy city, and it became that way very quickly under Chakri rule. And so in the next video, we're going to look in the next video at this early society in what's known as the Bangkok period, that is Siam under the rule of the Chakri dynasty in the early 19th century, and we'll take things on from there. So see you in the next video.